Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we are exploring the most popular deck currently in the Anti-Spell Festival, that being Swordsoul. Yep, this one. I don't know. Granted, without the spells, the deck basically performs the exact same, because with the Tenyi stuff and the Swordsoul stuff, you're still able to more or less do the same things. It's just ever so slightly less consistent. So, instead of throwing in spells to add consistency, we throw in traps to add disruption. Let's talk about the cards. First and foremost, we have the Tenyis, of course, the triple Adhara, the 1 Shithana, double Vishada, and triple Ashana. This is pretty standard for most lists. I like the Shithana. Not everyone runs this card, but I do find that it comes up every once in a while, just to have an extra 4, especially with like Ecclesia or what have you. So yeah, there's that. Next up, we have the Swordsouls. We have triple Moye, triple Taya. Normally this is cut to 2 in standard lists because it is more used to supplement other boards or to like search it for follow-up on a following turn. But the thing is, we can't really rely on that, so instead we are going for 3 of it, so that way a Tenyi and this guy is full combo as well, since we don't have as much consistency as I previously mentioned. Next up, we have the double long one, and of course, double blackout. We're running 2 because 3 is a little bit too bricky, and 1 is just not quite enough. It's just better to have overall a higher count of this card. It's very good being able to pop 2 cards, especially in a format where a lot of cards are being set, and you're able to just flip this, pop 2 of them, and not have to deal with those. It's very nice. We also have the Ecclesia to go into either Moye or Taya. We're only running 2 because, again, it is a little bit more bricky, but overall, still a pretty good card. Moving on to the hand traps, there are a lot of like combo decks similar to Swordsoul, Adamantipator, stuff like that. So running hand traps is pretty nice. Now, I'm not running Nibiru, and I honestly kind of regret it. I think having Nibiru would be very nice in this list. So I think you could probably switch out like the Storm Dusters for Nibiru, just because like oftentimes I never found that this came up as much as like some of the other cards. But all in all, it's up to you whether you're playing against more traps or you're playing against more monster effects. Kind of depends. Anyway, we're playing triple Maxi, the double Gamma with the 1 driver, triple Ash Blossom, and triple Imperm for the hand traps. And of course, you could throw in Nibiru, you could throw in the Effect Veiler, depending on what you want. Also, a lot of these hand traps are more likely to resolve due to the fact that less people are, well, like you can't play Called By, so just overall, less people are going to be able to out that. However, Ash still works against Maxi, Gamma still hits Maxi, stuff like that. Moving on, we have our trap cards. We have Trap Stun. This card is actually pretty good on all things considered. I actually pulled it from a random pack as I was streaming today, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a really good card. Negate all other trap effects on the field this turn. They can still activate the traps, however, they are just straight up negated. Now, notably, if it is a continuous trap, it's going to stick on the field. It's not like something like a Judgment or what have you. But all in all, it's still a great card. Yeah, just another way to kind of guarantee that your combos go off. It's really good to basically add that additional follow-up if you so need it. And yeah, just solid overall. Next up, we have Heavy Storm Duster. As I previously mentioned, this could be switched out for Nibiru, depending on what you were playing against. I played against a lot of trap-heavy decks, so running the Heavy Storm Duster to deal with those back rows was very nice. Being able to set this, if you have full combo, is also very good. Again, we're only playing 2 of each because they kind of do different things, and we want to see them not every time, but fairly often, right? We don't necessarily want to always have the disruption or like the destruction. Sometimes we just want to make sure that our plays go off. Next up, we have our 1 Judgment and 2 Solemn Warning. These are basically the solemn packages. We just want to be able to stop a powerful summon, like for example, a Toad or what have you, or just like, yeah, that's basically it. I mean, Judgment is Judgment. If you can say no, do it. Yeah, moving on to the extra deck. This is pretty standard for most Swordsoul lists. I think the only thing that I added was an Omega from my previous list, and I took out a Link Monster, Underworld Goddess. But yeah, here we have it. We have the 1 Yazi, the 2 Baxia, we have the 1 Cyphering Lord Omega because we are playing the Gamma, so being able to go into this guy and then just rip a card out of your hand, out of your opponent's hands is very nice. We have Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, we have double Chi-Xiao, we have a 1 Xiao Feng, 1 Ruddy Rose. The reason that I'm actually playing this card over something like a Dragite or what have you is because this card is able to deal with things like the Paleozoics that are extremely common as well. The Paleozoic frog stuff, you just able to banish all of those cards from the graveyard, meaning that it basically turns off their entire engine. So yeah, that's why we're playing this one. And then we have the 1 Baron, the 1 Changying, and the 1 Qixing Long One. Next up, we have Double Monk and 1 Shaman for our Link monsters. And that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the replays and see how this deck performs. All right, so here we are going first with, okay, I guess we're not doing anything, actually. I'm just going to set the Imperm and pass with 3 hand trap, well, technically 4 hand traps, and Vishuddha. This would have been way better going second. My opponent passes. Okay, interesting. Blackout's not exactly the greatest of cards, so I'm also just going to pass, because again, I have a feeling that they're kind of reliant on me doing something for them to do something, and with that set card, I think that we're pretty much in the right with that assumption. I draw Long One here, which is pretty nice, because that means we can go Vishuddha and then go and, okay, well, out comes Maxi. Okay, cool, great, fantastic. I'm going to Gamma this. The reason I go for the Gamma here is because this allows me to get more bodies onto the field, which we could then utilize for a Link Summon, or what have you, or extra damage to push for lethal. So, yeah. Also, we could go for Omega here to potentially rip a card out of our opponent's hand. So, yeah, we go for that here, and my opponent ashes this. Okay, that kind of sucks, but at the very least, we could use it again if we need to. But that doesn't mean the Maxi goes through, which means I'm just going to stop my plays on the Vishuddha and just kind of sit on that. So we're going to set the Blackout and pass. I don't really want to give my opponent anything, and out comes the Orochi. Alright, fantastic. Now, granted, they can't walk over this, so they will have to utilize the effect. But I'm just going to go for the Blackout here and pop their... Red Reboot is a card that exists in this format for some reason, and I couldn't tell you why. So, yeah, now they just get to freely do whatever the frick they want. Yeah, great. I'm going to set the Heavy Storm Duster because I don't know if they're going to be playing more traps or not, so I couldn't really think of another good trap. Like, I could go Trap Stun. Realistically, I probably should have just grabbed Judgment. Judgment is just the better card, but I went for this one. I'm going to Maxi here just in case they have a Kaiju. I do want to be able to deal with the Kaiju, or at least draw something off of the Kaiju. But they're just going to go for the Gizmek card here and just pop 2. I'm going to go for Gamma here because they decided to activate an effect, which allows me to now go for bodies onto the field, which means that I'm not going to die. So we're going to summon out the Driver and the Gamma, and then just pop the Thunderbird. It feels good. Out comes Pink. Not really anything I can do about that. Okay, you have Pink, but I do get to draw, and I draw, of course, the card that is absolutely useless right now. But I draw into Blackout for the draw for turn, which is very, very nice. So we're going to go for the Blackout here, and then out comes the Pink. They're going to pop the token. I'm going to normal summon Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Did you know, for some reason, Chao Feng has generic materials? I didn't know that. Did you know that? I didn't. I certainly didn't. So I'm actually going to go for the Chao Feng here with the 6 and the 3. This allows me to activate the long one, which burns for a bit. We're going to attack in and deal a bit of damage. This also procs the Chao Feng, which will summon out the second Vishuddha, which is very nice. We're going to set the Trap Stun, which kind of doesn't do anything, but I'm going to have it. And at this point, my opponent is going to go for the Gizmek Orochi. We have the Infip, we still have the Blackout, we have the Heavy Storm Duster, and the Trap Stun. But all in all, it's basically just Imperm and Blackout. And I think, knowing what this deck is, seeing the Thunderbird and the Pink and the Red Reboot, I'm almost certain that this is the Luna Kaiju, or 8-axis, as it is called, where you basically just get 2 level 8 monsters onto the field. You go for the rank 8, you punch into your opponent with the Draglubion into the Numeron Dragon, I believe is what it's called, and then you just like punch your opponent after wiping their field. So, in all honesty, unless they have like Harpy's Feather Duster, no, they literally can't have Harpy's Feather Duster. Unless they have the second Red Reboot, we should be fine with the Blackout and the Imperm. Being able to Imperm their Numeron Dragon, being able to black out whatever they end up trying to summon out if they have enough monsters, I feel pretty confident. And having Vishuddha as well as Chao Feng being able to search a tuner on follow-up is pretty nice. My opponent decides to scoop it up there, realizing that they can't really get over anything. And it's an event, so I don't expect people to stick around, even if they think that there is a slight chance of them losing. I mean, I do the same thing. And here we are going second with Driver? Well, I mean, it's something. It's a decent hand, but there's the set 5 pass. You'll love to see it. This Maxi is going to certainly put in work. We draw Ash Blossom, and at this point I'm hoping and praying that my opponent is playing Eldritch, but at the very least we can start off with an Ecclesia. So we're going to go for the Ecclesia here, and we're going to special summon out the Moye. I'm expecting them to have something like an Imperm, and Lost Wind, sure, that works, I guess. Yeah, that's going to negate the Moye. Not really a whole lot that I can do about this. And then I decide to do something interesting. I go for the Driver here. After seeing the Lost Wind, I'm like, I need to just kind of get this body off of the field so that I can go for the Ashana, and it turns out Driver's a normal monster and a level 6. So yeah, out comes the Ashana as well. They're gonna go for the Fiend Griefing, and I'm like, I don't know what Fiend they could potentially go for, and I'm not really gonna try and find out. So I'm just going to negate that. Out comes the Trap Trick, and they are going to go for Compulse off of the Trap Trick. So yeah, they're going to set the Compulse. I'm going to negate the Fiend Griefing, and then we are going to link off into the Monk. Yeah, out comes the Lost Wind. They are going to bounce the Monk of the Tenyi, which I really don't care about, given the fact that we still have a normal monster on our side of the field, or a non-effect monster. So we're going to go for the Shithana in order to go into the Monk. Now, granted, I could have also gone for the level 1 tuner here, the Adhara, and then gone for the Yazi. I didn't realize that, because how often does it come up that you have a level 6 monster on your side of the field with access to Ashana? It comes up very, very rarely. Normally, it's a long one into a synchro summon of a 10. Like, you just go into the 10. It's pretty simple. So I didn't see that play. But yeah, I definitely could have gone Yazi here in order to go into the Taya by popping a back row as well, which then deals with another card. And then we can go into the Taya into something like Draco Berserker or Baxia, and then spin 2 cards or something like that. So I could have had a significantly better play. But all in all, this game actually gets very fun and very interesting very quickly. Seeing the Dupe Frog come out, they get to search out the Swap Frog, but I'm honestly not too worried about that, given the fact that we have the Infip, so I'm feeling okay. We also have Shithana in Grave, so if they deal with either of our monsters by destroying them, we should be fine. In the draw phase, they decide to pop with Olenoids or Infip, which means that it's basically dead. Sad, but not that big of a deal. We also know that this card basically isn't doing anything, it's just Lost Wind, which we don't have an effective monster, so who cares? But they're going to go for the Swap Frog, dump the Ronin Totem. Ronin Totem is going to then special summon itself, and we are going to chain the Max C, because of course I am the better duelist. Also, question, how do you out Driver? If you don't know, let me read you this card real quick. Lost Wind specifically says, target a face-up special summoned monster on the field. Negate its effects, also have its original attack. Driver was normaled. They literally do not have an out. Even Anomala Karis does not out Driver. There's no out that they currently have to Driver. Isn't that hilarious? I just found that very funny. Also with Shithana being able to potentially bring it back. Yeah. We draw Vashada for turn, which is great. You'll love to see it. They're going to go to battle. They're going to walk over the Monk of the Tenyi. And it turns out Shithana activates in the damage step. Meaning, no effect for you, Toad. So goodbye, Toad. Not allowed. Anyway, they're going to shuffle back the Toad. Sure. That's a-okay with me. Out comes the Monk. We're good. We also drew Heavy Storm Duster, which is very good against 2 back row. And the second Vashada. Okay. We're going to go for the Vashada here. We are going to tag out into the second Monk, which will then allow me to go Vashada, bounce their set card that was newly set, because I know that this one's basically not doing anything. We're going to go to battle. We're going to attack in for a bit of damage. Realistically, I could have gone like Shaman of the Tenyi there, but again, I do know what this is. It is going to negate my effect. We don't really want that, so I'm just going to go for this. Have a bunch of normal monsters and just beat them down with Monk. It'll be fine. Driver beatdown. Let's go. We also have Heavy Storm Duster, so again, I'm feeling pretty comfortable. They're going to go for the Ronin Totem here, and I'm just going to allow that to happen. My opponent goes to the end phase. I'm going to go for the Heavy Storm Duster, targeting the 2 newly set back row. They're going to go for the Olenoids here, and then they were going to chain Lost Wind. I think the reason that they were doing this was to try and target the Driver to decrease its attack, so that they could have the Ronin Totem stick around. Or they didn't know how Paleos worked and thought they would be able to chain the Paleos that haven't gone to the grave, which you will see 2 Paleos go to the grave, to this activation, which you can't. So turn passes, and they realize that that is the fact, and they scoop it up. So, good game. All right, and here we are once again going first, and hey, look, it's Maxi. Anyway, we drew a pretty decent hand overall. We drew the long one as well as the Moye, so we're going to go for Moye, reveal the long one. It goes through. Fantastic. We are then going to activate the long one here in order to summon out our 2 monsters. This allows us to play around Nib. I have seen people playing it. It's not that common, but why not? There's no reason not to. We're going to go for the Baron here, so now we have a negate prior to, or on the 5th summon, so if they go for the Nibiru, we can just get it out of there. And then we get to go for the Yugioh. We're going to draw one, and we are going to search a card as well, and I think they ash this. Yeah, out comes the Ash Blossom, so we don't get the draw one, but we do get to still search, and I'm going to search out that Blackout. We're going to set that and pass the turn. It's not exceptional, but having Blackout, the Baron, the Yugioh, and Maxi, as well as Ecclesia for follow-up, feels pretty decent. At the very least, we are able to play the game. Out comes their own Moye. They're going to reveal, that's right, the Golden Swordsoul. This person is playing 3 of this. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. But we're just going to simply negate this with our Yugioh. They're going to pass the turn, and I'm going to just black out the 2 back row, which was Secret Blast and Secret Barrel. Huh? I wish I could tell you why, but okay. I'll take the 1,000 damage, that's fine. We are going to normal summon Ecclesia because my opponent doesn't have enough monsters. They're going to ash that. I'm going to negate this because if I don't... Well, first of all, I know the last card in hand is the Golden Swordsoul, which is like, whatever. But if I don't, I can't get lethal. So, yeah. We're going to go for the Taya here. We are going to banish in order to grab the token. Then we're going to go for the Adhara to add back the long one, which we happened to banish. This allows us to then go for our Yugioh, which will then allow us to the chain block. We're going to send the Ashana. We're going to search out the Moye. I don't know why I added Moye here. I really don't. But I did. So there's that. Anyway, we're going to go for the long one effect here in order to special summon out the 2 tokens. And then we are going for the Qixing long one. We're going to burn for 12, and then we are going to go to battle. Out comes the Golden Swordsoul, which is going to negate our attack. And then we are going to banish it. But I actually missed lethal here. If I had gone for... No, had I just negated this with Baron, which I don't think I did. No. There's something. I know I missed lethal somehow that I already had seen. I think it was if I call in, like, Changing or something like that. I would have had lethal, potentially. But all in all, it doesn't really matter, because they have no cards, and whatever they end up summoning, we just kill it. They're going to go Maxi here, and I'm going to bring back my Taya, and okay. Out comes the Ashana. Cool. Burn. Goodbye. 1,200 to the dome. Man, I love Qixing. Genuinely, Qixing is, like, my favorite card from Swordsoul. It's so good. I love it. It's so cool. And here we are with the last duel, and once again, I am going first with Moye. Woo! You love to see, yay, Moye. I'm actually going to normal summon the Ecclesia, yeah, we're going to go for the Ashana here, and then I'm going to normal summon the Ecclesia, so that I can have the Moye in hand, or so that I can go for the Moye here, to reveal something. This allows me to get Ashana on field, which is very nice for if, like, I get Nibiru, since I don't have access to the long one before the 5th summon. Or Baron, I should say, before the 5th summon. So we're going to go for the Yugioh in order to go, and then go for the Moye in chain. We're going to draw one, and then we are going to draw the Ashana, of course. We're going to go for the long one, which is, yeah, it's fine. We're going to pitch the long one in order to go for the... pitch the Ashana to go for the long one. I decided to go for Baron here. Normally I go for Yugioh, or Qixing long one. But I decided to go for Baron here because of the fact that we have the Ashana. So, yeah, we're going to go for the Ashana here into the Monk. And then the Ashana will grab up a... I believe we grab... Yeah, Adhara. Adhara is then linked off for the Monk, and then we can go and add back the Ashana off of the Adhara in order to have a target for the Moye, just in case. And then we're going to set one and pass. So the reason that we go for the Baron here instead of the normal Qixing long one is because of the fact that we do have the follow-up. I think Qixing long one is better if you don't have follow-up, whereas Baron is better if you do, because, like, slowing down the opponent is better with Baron. Whereas, like, putting your opponent lower on life points is better if you don't have anything to, like, guarantee a kill. That's just, like, my simple-minded idea. I'm not the best at Swordsoul, don't take my word as gospel, but yeah. Out comes the Vashetta. I kind of just have to let this go through, and I'm like, okay, yeah, out comes the Monk. Yeah, out comes the Vashetta. Okay, I'm gonna have to pop this. I just kind of let the Monk go through, just so that I have, like, something to negate with. But yeah. There's that. Out comes the Ecclesia. They're gonna go for the Ecclesia here, which they did happen to special summon that, so cool. Anyway, we're going to instead negate this. I don't know why they didn't decide to... Anyway, they set 3 and go to battle, and then crash in with Monk, because last card in hand is Taya. Now, of course, we are going to just negate this. And also, they put this in Imperm column. I don't know what this is, but I have a screaming feeling that it's Blackout. I actually called this out on stream. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is going to be Blackout. And they put it in the Imperm column, because of course they did. We draw the Heavy Storm Duster, which is actually like the best card that we could have. We're going to tag out here for the Moye. Moye effect is going to activate, revealing the Moye, because why not? We're going to grab the token, and yeah, there it is, Blackout. Fantastic. So I'm going to go for the Imperm, and yeah, just negate that. And then turns out they have their own Heavy Storm Duster. So they're actually going to pop both the Imperm as well as the Blackout, which, if you didn't know, Imperm needs to be on the field to resolve the column negation effect, and the reason for that is because it has to be in a column. Odd little play. So actually, it turns out, no, I'm not going to negate it. Also, the card's no longer on the field for me to negate with the Imperm. I still negate the Taya, which doesn't help, but cool. At this point, we can just go Ashana and just kill my opponent. We're going to go for the Shathana here, and we're going to link off into the Shaman of the Tenyi. Why do I go for the Shathana here? No real reason, because I'm stupid, probably. Anyway, doesn't really matter. We're going to bring out the Monk, which we can then go to battle with. And I figured I didn't have lethal, even if I normal summon the Moye, so I was just like, okay, let's just deal with what we can. I mean, my opponent's not going to play through the one negate of Qishao. Like, I'll be fine. We have Shathana Engrave, we have Heavy Storm Duster or something like that. They top deck Taya, which is great. But yeah, out comes the Blackout. They're going to Blackout and grab another token. I'm not going to negate the Taya because they banished the Blackout, so not really any point to that. They're going to go for the Qishao here and go for the Taya as well. So the Taya is going to get a free dump, and I'm going to negate with my own Qishao. I think I banish Monk there. So, Taya is going to send Vashetta. Now, realistically, they should have just gone Ashana into the Vashetta to get another body onto their field. They could have gotten, like, another Monk onto their side of the field or something like that. Or I guess they couldn't link summon there. So, if they play this... yeah. So, here's the thought process. If they are like me and play the Shathana, realistically, what they should have done is go for the Ashana, banish the Ashana, go for the Shathana, and then link or synchro off into another 8. They can go for Berserker of the Tenyi, they can go for Baxia, they can go for quite a lot, which is very problematic for me overall. But alas, they're not playing that, so okay, we're fine. They're going to bounce the Qishao, sure, and then they are going to walk into Shaman of the Tenyi. Alright, not really that big of a deal. We still have Monk. We still have follow-up with Moye. If I draw any worm here, like, we're golden. Fantastic. I draw, like, quite frankly, the best one. And activate the effect and just special summon it, because we still have the Ashana, which can grab ourselves the Adhara, which then can add a card to the hand for the Moye. So I go for this play instead, and out comes Baxia. At this point, we shuffle away our opponent's cards. Goodbye. Just kidding. They do negate, obviously. That's pretty expected. Not really that big of a deal. But they do get to banish their Blackout. So this is a little bit more problematic. I almost lost this game, or like I could have lost this game because of how poorly I've played, but it's fine. It's fine overall. We go for the Vashetta here. We're going to send it back the Qishao, and then I'm going to add the long one to hand because I'm a psychopath, and we can actually still activate the long one. So that's great. Anyway, we're going to go for the Moye into Qishao. Qishao will then activate its effect to search out a card, and Moye will draw a card. So we are going to utilize those effects, draw, trap stun, and we're going to search out the Blackout. I'm just going to go to battle here because, again, we do have lethal, so there's no real point in even going for the long one. So, yeah, good game. All right, so all in all, this deck is pretty decent. Honestly, I've liked a lot of the techs, mostly trap stun. You didn't see it come up in any of those games that you actually saw there. I think I drew it like once or twice maybe at like the end of the game. But the times that it did come up, it was actually pretty useful. Yeah, it was just always like a decent draw. Something to just like set and prevent your opponent from basically playing the game, which was very cool. The Heavy Storm Duster came up occasionally. I didn't find it as useful, so again, if you were to switch out one of these cards, I would say I'd prefer the Heavy Storm Duster to be taken out, but again, it's up to you. Either of these are just flex cards. You could add more things like Solemn Strike, which I just don't have. I think Solemn Strike is also very good. You could play instead the Nibiru's, depending on if you're playing against more monster heavy or combo heavy decks, so that way you have something off of your Mech C. But yeah, it's entirely up to you. I thought this deck was very cool though overall, and Trap Stun was a cool little tech. Is this the best deck? No. Is it the most popular? Yeah. Why? Because everyone already has this deck. So realistically, should you be playing it? Probably not. There are a lot of better options, but it's better than Paleo Frogs, like by a long shot. I understand that that deck is pretty cheap, but if you have this deck, I think that you should play it. If you don't, yeah, build Paleo Frogs. It's very cheap. It's very easy to construct and to have decent success with. So there's a reason why these two decks are the most popular. A lot of people have already had this deck, and the other one is incredibly cheap. So overall, I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy this video. If you did, a like is very much appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.